In what was supposed to be an epic tank-off, as I highlighted in a few videos back, talking about some of the Bulls' upcoming games, with 2 games against the Grizzlies being of particular importance because of their lottery odds ramifications. And of course, the Bulls missed the assignment and would win this game in a blowout. But no, seriously, you know what? I don't care. I mean, it would mean one thing if the Bulls were a half game or a full game in front of the Grizzlies, and a loss like this would actually propel them to a higher pre-draft position. But there was already so much distance between these two teams. The Bulls are now 4.5 games ahead of the Grizzlies in the standings. The Grizzlies have now lost 8 straight. That all but closes their chances of being able to fall behind them in the standings with only 14 games left on the year. At this point, it's going to come down to between the Bucks and the Bulls, and which team finishes with the 9th best lottery odds and the 10th best. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty sizable difference in odds. The 9th best odds have a 20.3% chance of moving into the top 4, while the 10th only have a 13.9% chance of moving into the top 4. But for me personally, I would still much rather see the development of some of these young players, most notably Modest and Giddey, over quibbling over a difference in 6% of improved lottery odd chances. Like, really, that's what it boils down to at this point. And yes, before you say, well, why can't you have both? Why can't you have the progress and improvement for Modest and Giddey while still losing games? It just doesn't really work that way. Because if the guys are truly vibing and really taking their game to the next level, it means the team is probably going to be doing better. It means they're probably going to win more games than you would otherwise expect, because if they're playing well, it's going to lead to better team results. You're only going to be able to manufacture so many losses if Giddey and Modest are playing at a high level. And that was exactly the case tonight. I mean, kind of expected the Bulls would likely win this game regardless, because the Grizzlies have so many of their guys out. Of course, the Bulls do as well. Still no Simons, Sexton, Ivy. Okoro has still been out of the lineup. But the Grizzlies are really bad right now, and I just don't see a world in which the Bulls would have fallen in this game. But regardless of where you stand and being frustrated with this win or not, there were a lot of positive things to take away from it, all the way down to, yes, even Rob Dillingham. But let's start with Modest, because Modest actually started off this game a little bit slow, wasn't getting up as many shots, and when he was putting them up, he wasn't hitting them. The Bulls in general actually weren't as on point as they were with their shooting in the first half before taking off really in the second, but Modest really overtook that third quarter. He was a big reason for that run to start the second half that enabled the Bulls to blow up to that 21-point lead. He had 18 points alone in the third quarter. Now, the Grizzlies came back. They went on a run of their own and brought it within single digits in that quarter alone, but Modest was on the bench for a good portion of that. And what happened when he came back in? The Bulls blew the lead right back up and really put the Grizzlies away, to the point where he and Giddey weren't even needed to come back in with less than 5 minutes to play the game. 22 shots for Modest Bucelis. That's what I want to see. Just like the other night when he had his career high against the Warriors, I need to see him getting more shots up than anybody else on this team. If he's going to be the Bulls' primary scorer, at least for the foreseeable future, more of the offense needs to be run through him. And he had some nice backdoor cuts to the basket, drives to the hoop, moving well without the ball to find himself open for 3. Every game, it just looks like he's elevating himself offensively, and you have to love to see it if you're a Bulls fan. Modest would finish the game with 29 points on 12 for 22 shooting, 5 for 13 from 3. Man, he still takes a boatload of threes. 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, only 1 turnover as well, and was a plus 26 on the night. And then Josh Giddey, tallying another triple-double, his 5th triple-double in his last 10 games, 16 points on 6 for 12 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 15 rebounds, 13 assists to go along with 3 steals. And hey, how about this from Josh Giddey? Only 2 turnovers. The Bulls didn't take care of the ball that well as a team and turned it over a lot, 17 turnovers in total, but only 2 for Josh Giddey, who we talked about before in recent videos, has actually been turning the ball over at the highest rate of his career since his rookie season relative to his usage. But tonight, the 13 assists to 2 turnovers ratio is great, and what I've loved seeing from Giddey is actually his improvement with his handles. Like, yes, sometimes his ball handling when he's driving to the basket and gets a little out of control, it makes you wince, but he's been better able to control his drives without losing his dribble or getting pickpocketed. March Josh Giddey is back, ladies and gentlemen. Nah, I kid, because as great as Josh has been, he's actually played pretty well all season long when he's been healthy, and you have to acknowledge that. Also, shout out to Trey Jones as well. just an incredible performer as always. I'm always amazed with his ability to get downhill and finish despite his size. He's so crafty with those reverse lay-ins. Another 17 points for Trey Jones on 7 for 12 shooting, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And then Leonard Miller getting the start again, as he should, over Patrick Williams. Another double-digit scoring effort, 10 points, 7 boards, 2 blocks. Mentioned in my video from earlier today, he's really the only player that I personally can say with an absolute certainty, among the players that the Bulls just recently traded for anyway, that should be back on this team next year. A young 22-year-old that hustles, has good instincts, plays on both ends of the floor, and a team option on a cheap deal. Yeah, you definitely got to take that. But I say only Leonard Miller, but somehow Rob Dillingham has entered the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't get me wrong, Dillingham was still making a lot of mistakes out there. He had some bad turnovers and shots in the first half, but the man played well in the second. With some great passing, brought some energy with his drives to the basket, eventually started hitting some of his threes, which we've rarely seen. He still shot 6 for 15 overall, 3 for 9 from 3, but he was more active defensively, more active hands, was hounding his man all night, 3 steals in the game to go along with 15 points, which I believe is a high for him in a Bulls uniform anyway. Need to still see what this kid can do when it's not garbage time and there is more on the line, and yes, I still have my doubts, but okay. I see you, Rob Dillingham, I see you. I'm monitoring for now. Also, crazy stat that Casey Johnson shared after the game. Modest Bucelis, of course, recorded his 100th block on the season, now sitting at 101. He became the first player in Bulls history to have at least 100 blocks and 150 threes in a single season. The first player in Bulls history. I also saw another stat that on this season, it's not only him and Victor Wembanyama that have more than 100 blocks and more than 100 threes in the year. Just some crazy company for Modest. Good for him to put in that milestone to cap off a great game. Now, I think this is where we're going to start seeing some of the losses pile on for those who want more assurances that the Bulls will stay in the 9th spot rather than moving up in front of the Bucks in the Tankathon standings. The Bulls now have the Raptors, Cavs, Rockets, Sixers, and Thunder all coming up in their next games. All teams actively fighting for playoff seeding. It'll be interesting to see how guys like Modest and Giddey show up in these games against some of these teams trying to contend. And then also even, Rob Dillingham, to see how he goes up against some of the more elite level talent in the NBA. Bulls will kick it off against the Raptors on Wednesday. Let me know what you guys thought of this game. Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.